All right, hello everyone listening. This is the first installment of the R2 Performance Center podcast here at Fort Polk. We're also a part of the Army Resilience Directorate, which you can find on Facebook and Twitter at Army Resilience. And you can also find us, the R2 Performance Center from Fort Polk, on Facebook if you just search R2 Performance Center, and we'll be probably the first result. Anyway, on to introducing all the hosts. Currently, right now, my name is Diego. Currently, right now, yeah.
Tomorrow it's something else.
Tomorrow's going to change. So my name is Diego Veramontes. I'm no longer the newest performance expert here. However, I am on the newer side. But alongside with me, I have Morgan Emter, who has been here at Fort Polk the longest, if I'm not mistaken. Yep.
Yeah.
Born and raised?
Born and raised.
No. I've been at Fort Polk, shucks.
2
year
years?
and a half, almost 2 years. Coming up on
Nice.
2 years. Jess is the longest in the program.
Yes, and we have Jess Burgett. How long you been in the program?
It's been 4 years.
Nice. And she recently transferred in from San Antonio at
Yes.
JBSA.
That is correct.
Did a swap with Steph DeLaus.
Hey, Steph.
Shout out to Steph.
Yeah. Shout out. Next, we're going to talk about ourselves a little bit and our backgrounds and some of our interests regarding sports psychology. So I guess I'll just start. So I grew up in Tennessee. Therefore, I went to graduate school at the University of Tennessee. And I obtained my master's degree in kinesiology with a concentration in sports psychology. So basically, all that means is that I didn't take any kinesiology courses, only sports psychology courses. Anyway,
I think what everybody wants to know here is whether or not you're old enough to have worked with Peyton Manning. That's all that really matters here.
yeah, because when he was there, that was the last time they were good at anything relating to football, which I totally know everything about. No, I'm not old enough. I think there's like some statues dedicated to him somewhere on campus. I don't know. I'm not the best representative when it comes to UT's history, but I did spend 2 years there and got my master's degree where at the same time I was helping out a youth soccer team in Knoxville and doing some consulting work with them. And they were like about 12 years old or so. I don't know. It was a good experience overall. But speaking of soccer, I grew up playing soccer. And that's mainly why I got into sports psychology to begin with. I remember my senior year of playing, I got into a really bad rut mentally, and I recognized that I was in that rut, but I didn't know how to get out of it. When my first year of college, that's when I realized sports psychology was a thing, and I'm like, I'm going to just choose that and stick with it and see where it gets me. I don't know how many years that's been and how much debt I've accrued since then, and I'm here.
Hey-o! Well, we're glad that you're here.
I'm glad that I'm here. Anyway, enough about me.
Understandable.
So next we have Morgan Emter.
Come on, Morgan.
That's me. Hello, world. Throwback to Tiger. Didn't he do that? Like his very first?
Tiger Woods?
Yeah.
Hello, world?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know. I just remember watching a This is really off topic, but welcome to my brain. I was watching a documentary on. Don't judge me for my pronunciation of documentary. I've been working on it. Anyways, whoa. I was watching the documentary on Tiger Woods, and it was about like his first interview going into some, I think it was PGA Tour, something like that. And like the first 2 words he says to this room full of media is "Hello, world."
I love Tiger. So he could have said anything in that moment, and I think people would have been listening.
Probably.
But those are 2 fantastic words. Just start off any talk that you have,
That's true.
introduction that you have. Hello, world.
I'm just happy
very
there's
inclusive.
tigers playing golf. So
Anyways, so my name's Morgan. Grew up in southwestern Ohio. Trying to figure out what is east and west. IO. But I'm not an Ohio State fan. Sorry, everyone in Ohio. I
Just
went
lost
to
half of our
school.
listeners, so.
Oh, shucks. I went to school in West Virginia, studied sports psychology as an undergrad student, swam for the university, and then moved on to pursue my master's degree in sports psych at Georgia Southern University. Growing up, swimming was my thing. It was kind of the only sport I was good at. Hand-eye coordination is not high for me,
same.
and therefore, the pool is the only thing I've got. For now. We're learning other skills. We're learning. 25 years later. It's fine. Very mental athlete, though. My performance was very dependent on my mind and what state I was in, but I didn't realize it was necessarily in my control. So when I learned about sports psychology, I was immediately interested because of the application for my own performance, similar to you, Diego. But kind of going through undergrad and grad school, it's something I've noticed isn't just related to the pool or whatever sport you're in. It's really a set of life skills and how do you take control of what's in your control. So I guess I continue with it because of the applicability that it has to so many areas in life other than just your sport.
Well, we know that. Now everyone knows that. The world, since that's who we're talking to.
Yes.
Hey, world.
Everyone, ever.
That was hello, world. Yeah,
Okay.
switch it. Make it your own. Make it your own.
Hi.
Hello.
All right. So last but not least, we have Jess Burgett.
Yes, that's me. I won't say hello, world, although that's exactly what came to mind.
Right?
I know. I don't know if I'm a follower or if it's now stuck. I'm not sure. Yes, I grew up in a lot of different places, but I claim Lafayette, Louisiana as my home. And so hence one reason to go from San Antonio to here, Fort Polk, Louisiana, is because it's home to a degree. Growing up, I played soccer, mostly indoor soccer. I played some lacrosse, and then I played a lot of golf. And one of the reasons why I got interested in sports psychology was I played golf and got so aggravated so many times that I wanted to bend every one of my clubs, wrap them around all of the trees, throw them in all of the ponds or rivers or lakes that were around. And I knew that, wow, there has to be something else to this sport thing besides just the physical, because I know how to do that stuff to a degree, but I still can't get things right. And then I realized, oh, your mind's involved. How about that? So when I went to college, I initially started in industrial design and then found out that's a really competitive field. And also I had to buy all kinds of materials to make all of my projects, and I was broke. So really it was because I couldn't afford it. So I went into sports psychology because that was the next best thing, and I'm really glad I did. So here I am. I went to University of Louisiana in Lafayette for my undergrad, and then I got my master's at North Texas.
Denton.
Yes, Denton, which is basically a really lovely hippie town north of Dallas, Fort Worth. It was just wonderful. It was a good place.
So I take it that you used Happy Gilmore as a cautionary tale for yourself.
I did. What I really pulled from Happy Gilmore, which I think everyone does on the driving range, we would just, run up and hit as hard as we could while our coach was not looking, because he would have just, I won't say what he would have done. Yeah. We can't on the podcast. We can't. But we would make bets on especially if there's a person that's cleaning up all of the balls, like the ball picker-upper is what I call it. I don't know the official title. And we would always aim using the Happy Gilmore swing at the ball guys or girls, whomever they were. I know. I was not a mature 12-year-old girl, so.
Fair enough.
Wow.
Ugh.
Yeah. So that's my story.
All right. Well, I guess next we'll talk a bit about the central purpose of this podcast. Basically, each week we'll be releasing an episode, and each week we'll be addressing a certain question, topic, or concept that is either related to sports psychology or mental resilience in some capacity. Today's or this week's question revolves around the idea of what are some common myths or misconceptions about sports psychology. I guess I'll go first since I'm already talking. Anyway,
Yeah, go for it.
one of the biggest things, or I guess the most salient things that people ask me whenever I tell them that I did get my degree in sports psychology is, oh, like, what do? You just sit athletes down on a couch and talk about their feelings all day? And, it's said in a way that's sort of condescending and looking down upon, I guess, psychology as a whole, but particularly me as well, which, you can take it or leave it, whatever people say. But, I mean, that goes to show how little people really either know about or understand what sports psychology is. It's not about necessarily sitting on a couch. Most of my experience while I was going through grad school was actually going out into the field, and particularly youth soccer fields, and helping out that soccer team right before they practice for a couple of minutes, just to get a better idea of what they're actually going through, because otherwise how do you know what some of the presenting quote-unquote issues are. But yeah, not everything is done in some office somewhere with bare walls and neutral colors, because you don't want to, trigger anything or within anyone. But their feelings are involved to a certain extent, but so are thoughts, so are many other things that make up sports psychology that people may not be exposed to or know about. And, it's fair. Sports psychology is still fairly new as a field, but it's not what's depicted in movies or TV.
Yeah. I mean, Morgan, go for it.
Oh, I
Or-
thought you guys had more thoughts on what I said.
No, yeah, I mean, I think in general, psychology is one of those fields that most people, or it's got a bad rap in the sense
Right.
of what once was psychiatry, of sitting on a couch and then, yes, getting diagnosed and all that stuff, is in essence not what we do. It's not to take away from those things, like people have real problems where it may require being able to, reflect in that way with someone, not necessarily on a couch, but I would say a majority of what we do is not at all that.
To me, I think we've just talked about it as that's much more a reactive approach. So, like, there's an issue, like, let's fix the issue, let's treat it. What our branch of psychology, performance psychology, sports psychology, comes from a positive psychology branch. So
Mhm.
it's, hey, let's look for the areas that you're strong in, name what skills you're using to be strong in those areas, and capitalize on those. But then also let's consider what are some other strengths or skills that we can use to build up your performances and make them the most authentic to you regardless of the environment that you're in. So for me, my swimming performance isn't different because I'm in a different environment every week when I compete. My performance is consistent to me. External factors don't have to play a factor to a degree on how I perform. So it's taking control of that too.
So when you get heckled in the pool, it doesn't matter.
It really sounds like gargling essentially in the pool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all of the hecklers didn't take into account the fact that your
Can't hear 'em.
ears
Yeah, you can't.
Filled with
Yeah.
water, really.
Yeah.
And a
So,
cap,
useless.
like completely.
Yeah. Hecklers, take note.
I'm assuming there's lots
Don't
of
heckle at
hecklers.
swim team.
No.
At swim meets.
You're wasting your time.
They can't
Essentially.
hear you.
They can't hear you. And if they can, then their stroke is probably wildly inefficient.
Head up freestyle.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Where's your cat too?
Not there.
Not there.
Inefficient.
Inefficient again.
Gosh.
Being slowed down big time.
All right, so
We're reeling it back in.
yeah, just reel
It's
back
fine.
in. That's my point. So let's move on to what Morgan has to say.
I think one of the biggest misunderstandings about sports psychology is that it takes work to change your thought process. So there are tons of skills like to teach to master attention control, confidence, goal setting, motivation, culture, all of that. But it takes follow up. So we might learn something first, kind of the education phase, kind of learning about it. But then there's a real self awareness phase where we have to tune into ourselves and then start to practice and master these skills. So it takes a long time to master your mind, in essence, which I'm not sure, in my experience, it hasn't been wildly understood the amount of effort that it can take to kind of take control of that aspect of your game.
And to that point, so Diego mentioned it too. I know for me, I've never had coaches that were well versed in sports psychology. And then I don't know about you at the collegiate level, but even college coaches, I don't know that they're even sufficient or efficient at being able to express the importance of the mentality that comes behind any performance. And really, every time you ask at least an elite athlete, I think most of them would say, and by athlete, this could be high performers, this is soldiers, this is business CEOs. If you were to say how much of your performance is physical versus mental, those that are performing at a really high level would say it's majority mental, is what I've heard more often than not, or at least 50-50 at worst.
Right.
And so when we don't take the time to actually train that, or you don't have coaches who know how to set aside time for that, then they don't know how to put in the work, and you don't put in the work.
Yeah. I was fortunate to have coaches that understood the mental aspect. So for me, it was growing up in like USA Swimming, it was an environment where the coach recognized the mental component of your sport, would dedicate some dry land time to training that up, whether it was imagery or confidence and that kind of stuff. But college, it wasn't necessarily our coach's role. We were fortunate enough to have a sports psychology consultant assigned to our team
Nice.
through the university. West Virginia has a phenomenal sports psych program, like grad students and all that stuff. So they would attach a student to our program. So I was definitely fortunate to have access to that kind of training in undergrad.
So you didn't want to go to graduate school there then? Or was it one of those, like, because it's frowned upon? Oh, no.
Oh, no.
For all you listening, I said I applied, but I did not get in. But it's fine. I absolutely
Their
love
loss.
West Virginia. And it ended
their
up
loss.
being... No. It ended up being a great move and critical branch for me.
But there's that weird, it's not an official rule, but it's that unofficial rule of
Right.
wherever you go to undergrad, you can't go there for graduate school. I
That
don't
too,
understand
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
don't
I've
either.
heard
They
that.
literally will try and take in almost anyone from any other school.
Yeah.
Not anyone, but they're looking for outside candidates. I understand the broaden your horizons, get some different perspective. But-
Groupthink stuff.
And you know what? If you're still in West Virginia, you might have just settled there, and nobody visits West Virginia, so then
Whoa, whoa,
nobody
whoa.
would have visited you.
Almost heaven. Come
Oh.
on now. Come
Okay.
on now.
I'm just kidding. I've never been to West Virginia besides
Same.
driving through it, and it was very hilly,
Yes.
and I saw a lot of lovely greenery
Yes.
and scenery,
Hmm.
but I didn't see a lot of people necessarily. So
But
that's all
lots
I
of
remember.
Mothmen.
Yes,
Gosh.
correct. So careful, all of you.
Shout out to Mothman. Anyway, next we have Jess.
Yes. For me, I remember specifically in 2016 when I thought sports psychology got big, and this was because of one man called Jordan Spieth who wrecked his opportunity to go back-to-back in the Masters I don't know if y'all remember this or if anyone watches golf, but he had like I think a 5-stroke lead going into Sunday. He was leading Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday he goes in and he has four birdies in the front 9, doing well. Back 9, he just completely chokes. He gets like a quadruple bogey on one of the holes. He ends up losing. So later, as a result of that, he hired a sports psychologist because he said, I failed, I choked, I blew it. They were giving him a hard time, and he hired this sports psychologist, and then he actually raved about the sports psychologist. So one of the misconceptions, though, which maybe kind of goes off of Morgan, which would be we tend to come in when people have failed. So that reaction. Oh, now that I'm in a slump, now that I'm having a hard time, now that I'm plateauing, maybe I should bring in this sports psychologist. Rather, I think the optimal way to utilize us would be we are a part of your support team. So just like the physical, in order to maintain, let's say, your physical excellence, you would have like a physical therapist on staff, a nutritionist, you would have a strength and conditioning coach. And then on the mental side, which we already talked about, is highly important to your performances. Why not have a sports psychologist or a performance psychologist come in and just help you maintain that high level of mental toughness? But instead of having us on staff or like by your side the whole way, it's, oh, when something goes wrong, we're going to hire you for like a couple weeks.
Quick fix.
We've ironed it out, and then you're on your way. So I would like to think that a better way of utilizing us and the proper way to utilize us would be just make us a part of your team.
I have heard it though, where, and this was kind of through grad school, that our goal is professionally is to really put ourselves out of a job, help you until a point, and then you learn the skills, you master these skills, and now it's we take a step back and you are free to fly, using the skills in whatever area of your sport, life, relationships that it could possibly help you.
Yeah,
and that's part of that mastery phase where we then phase out of the picture for you.
Another great example would be, I'm not a Seahawks fan, but Pete Carroll has hired Michael Gervais, who is a well-known sports psychologist, and he's been with the team for years now. And granted, your team turns over a lot, but now more of his role is not so much the individual work, but to create this culture where they have mental toughness at their core. And so that's what Michael's job now is more about, hey, I've retracted, y'all have the skills, how do we just facilitate this culture, if you will, of mental toughness? And so like it's been a really great, I think, transition from, oh, I'm consulting on a one-on-one basis to now I can just help you all figure out what you want to bring to the table. So
Nice. Good for him.
yeah. If we only all had the amount of money
That the
Seahawks
Hawks
have,
yeah.
then everyone could have their own Michael Gervais. But, I mean, the Army has enough money to hire us, so y'all do have your own Michael Gervais. It's us.
At the R2 Center.
At the R2 Performance Center. That was a shameless plug, but I don't even care.
More shameless plug.
Yes.
You can not only find the R2 contact information on our Facebook page, but also our bios and our pictures. So
Yes,
if you're
the
curious
pictures.
enough, well, it's all in one centralized place. And we regularly update the Facebook page, so like, follow, whatever it is. I don't even remember anymore. But you'll
Do
be
all
able
the above.
Yeah, all the above. You'll be able to get posts whenever and wherever you are, because we'll be updating pretty regularly. And please feel free to like our videos, comment any thoughts you have, any questions you might have, and we'll do our best to respond to them.
Can I add something? I think I don't have Facebook, but I've been on our Facebook page to see, you know how they give you like a small glimpse, but I can't click on anything
Right.
from there. But I have noticed that not a lot of people have been commenting, so I think I can see that there's a lot of views, but it would be nice to hear comments on what y'all think, and then even throw out some questions that you would like us to answer, because
For sure.
that gives us the ability to answer what it is that you're looking for us to answer. Otherwise, we get to pick whatever we deem awesome.
Yep, that's true. But another important thing about Facebook is, for right now, that is where we will be uploading the podcasts. So if you want to stay up to date with us and what we're talking about every week, that would be the best place to check out on a weekly basis. And, things will get better as we work out the kinks with the podcast. But like I said, this is our first installment, and I believe we've gone through everything so far. So again, we are a part of the Army Resilience Directorate, and you can find them on Facebook and Twitter at Army Resilience as well. So thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you all next week.